Welcome everyone to RP Ballway's Masters of Main Streets. Today's session we'll be talking about governance in action. So what is governance in action? Well, it's about bringing the listed corporate strategies to small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, aimed at helping them to grow and obtain achieve those targets and goals that they want to do and take advantage of opportunities that are out there. And good governance is one way to help achieve your desires and needs. My name is Steve Wilson. I am one of the partners of RP Ballway Partners. Rebecca Piero is the other partner. She brings a world of experience from corporate governance background in large listed entities. Myself, I bring the small business advisory components together, and together we are bringing those strategies that large corporates use to the small business environment, tailoring it to our SMB markets. So we do like to start these sessions with a thought for the day, or what the thought overarching principle it is for these webinars. And here it is, that a big business starts small, obviously from Richard Branson. So smaller startup businesses probably don't believe they need good governance structures, but it really doesn't matter how big your business is or what stage it is at from startup to mature, whether you're operating as a sole trader, a partnership company, or even for charities, good governance will actually benefit your business. So just before we do get stuck in, time for the usual disclaimers. This is an information education webinar only, and clearly is not as beneficial as tailored advice specific to your business and its needs. So today's session is a part one of a two-part series, and this is governance in actions. Second part, which we'll deliver later on in the year, is boards that deliver. This first session discusses what business governance is, why it is actually important to all businesses, small or large, the measurable benefits of putting in place good governance procedures, what the actual difference is between governing your business and managing your business. There are 4 pillars to governance, and we will go through those 4 pillars. How to set up an actual governance plan for your small business, and the importance of what we call rhythms, and we will go through and explain that in this session. What your next steps should be, and of course, how we can actually help in all of this. So what is business governance? Well, good governance is about structuring, operating, and controlling a company with a view to achieving long-term strategic goals for all the stakeholders. Now, your stakeholders don't just include the owners or the shareholders of the business. It also includes your employees, your customers, your suppliers, and even your funders or financiers or creditors. And the effect of good governance is the realization of your business's vision and its purpose. So hopefully you all will currently have a business vision and a business purpose, because they're your roadmap for your journey. And without those, it's a little hard to figure out where we want to go. So why is good governance so important? Well, at a base level, good governance allows a business to continue to operate so that your shareholders or the owners will continue to invest both their money and time into the business. Funders such as your banks or your leasing companies continue to fund the business, and that's particularly important in both high growth companies where cash flow is critical, and also when times are actually difficult or you're struggling with some troubles, you need to keep the continued support of your funders. This is why governance is really important. team members or your staff will have to have continued faith in the business and engaged in their roles, meaning that you'll have the best chance of staff retention and keeping them, and the knowledge that is built up by your staff. Also, a more engaged team member is a much more productive team member. Customers continue to support the business. Probably more important to that, to actually increase their annual spend on the business and to actually send new business your way, that is referrals. Suppliers continue to supply to the business and provide credit terms because they can sense a stable business environment, and good governance will help support that. Now, through COVID, we all learnt the issues of good supply chains, so it's not a small matter to have good supply continuity. And of course, keeping on the good side of the regulators and being compliant with them. And these regulators are the things like the ATO, ASIC, Fair Work Australia. It can also include your professional bodies and membership requirements. So it's always good to ensure that we're actually meeting those obligations. And this is where governance comes into play. So the critical question is, what are the measurable benefits? There are many measurable benefits of putting in place good governance procedures. Better execution of business opportunities. So governance actually brings a planning focus to the business, and the outcome of that planning focus is that you're better able to implement and execute new business opportunities, or even simply to be able to identify them before your competitors. Better cash flow as you grow, because good governance enables better support from your funders, which we know is essential when experiencing rapid growth or when times are challenging. And this is because you will actually devote more time to working on your business as opposed to solely focused on the technical experts or aspects of business or working in the business. So you'll be putting in place strategies to improve things like your working capital and liquidity and cash flow. Part of wearing the governance hat involves assessing and mitigating risks in the business, rather than simply having a laid back, wait and see, or should be right sort of approach to risk practices. So tackling risks head on, at the very least, will simply mean that you're actually able to better sleep at night in its own right. Also provides you a much stronger business continuity strength, because if you try and map out some of the risks that may be inherent in your business and put in place strategies, when things do come up, you'll actually have plans in place. Regularly putting on your governance hat actually encourages you to focus on how your business is structured from a people perspective, including your employees' roles and responsibilities. Simple changes to the structure can help you step back from your business and have for you, at the very least, more discretionary time, or allow you to focus on the areas that are more critical on your business rather than the day-to-day nitty-gritty. Finally, good governance maximizes the value for all the shareholders. So a bigger valued business never hurts anyone. And this is an overarching objective of good governance. Now, having said that, many business owners naturally get confused between their roles in governing the business and their roles in operating or managing the business. So, for example, managing a team of people or selling to customers, well, they're about managing the business. And it is actually important to have a better understanding of these key differences between governing and managing, and we'll actually look at that now. To do this, we look at the 10 hats organization structure, because this will help us understand the different hats you will actually wear in a business. The point about this mindset card is that no matter how big or small your business is, whether you operate as a company, a sole trader, a partnership, or through a trust, or even if you're a charity, every single business has these same 10 hats or departments. So shareholders, well, they're the ones that fund the business and also provide some time. The directors are in a governance role, and they're actually responsible for setting the direction of the business. So that's your vision, your purpose, your plan, that sort of stuff. So even if your business doesn't trade as a company, like you're a sole trader, if you're looking to grow your business, governance is still very much required, because you still need to think about how to grow your business as a sole trader. And these are above the line, and they represent the strategic side of the business. And we'll come back to that as we progress in the webinar. Now, below the line are the operational components of your business, or the operational roles that you're involved in the business. So the function of the CEO is leadership, and they're the ones that actually implement the director's vision and purpose. So they take the vision and purpose and they get it implemented. The product or service department creates the product or services. The operations department is to generate cash, so they're the ones that's your cash powerhouse there. The marketing department generates the leads, and the sales department converts those leads into sales. Finance department manages the cash. Administration and technology is all about creating efficiency. All right, so improvements in efficiency, and the HR maximizes team engagement. Now, when you first start off in business, you're going to be pretty much wearing all 10 hats, and I think we've all been very much aware of that and been through it ourselves. But as your business develops, you will wear at least 3 hats. So you will normally be the owner, so you will fund the business, so you're the shareholder. You'll often work in one or more of those operational departments like sales or product service department or the finance side of things. So you're always going to be finding yourself in one of those operational roles. And then the third hat you're going to wear from time to time is a governance hat, and that's that role of stepping back from your day-to-day jobs and getting above the line and start thinking more strategically about your business, its direction, its opportunities and its threats, and that's, you will need to be stepping into at least that director's role. So now we need to talk about the difference between governing a business and managing your business. So when you manage, when you're managing your business, your role is operational in nature, and you are actually accountable to the board. Your job is to implement strategies and deliver the company's purpose and to achieve the vision of the business. Now, you do this by staying on track to achieve your goals and managing these various departments. That's the product, service department, operations, marketing, sales, finance, admin, human resources. But when you're governing, your role is now above that line, and it is strategic, and you're accountable to the shareholders or the owners of the business. Your job is to set the vision, purpose, and values of the business. And by setting an effective governance culture, you hold people to account and make sure compliance is also effective. So you achieve these strategies of achieving the vision by determining the business's purpose, setting an effective governance culture, holding people to account, and making sure compliance is actually effective. Now, these 4 aspects of governance in action are referred to the 4 pillars of governance. Mentioned, we will go through this right at the beginning in the agenda. So let's take a closer look at these 4 pillars of governance. Purpose. Now, the board leads the exploration and development of a company's purpose, its goals, and the strategies to achieve those goals. So why is the business set up, and why is it there in the first place? What's its actual purpose? And then how do we achieve that? Culture. The board works as a team to deal effectively with the right issues at the right time. And it does this by creating a culture that welcomes challenging, open, not personal debate, but challenging and open debate, candor, and trust. You want people to have their input and need to obviously deal it in the right manner, but you don't want a whole lot of yes people. Accountability. Now, governance holds management to account through informed oversight. It does not, however, do management's job. It ensures the company's purpose and strategy are actually understood by management and implemented to a clear plan with proper deployment and performance management. And lastly, compliance. Compliance ensures the company is and remains primarily solvent. It also ensures that financial reports are accurate and the business complies with regulatory bodies such as the ATO, Fair Work Australia, ASIC requirements, the Corporations Act, and of course, if you've got maybe various other government departments, and also your professional bodies or trade bodies that you need to keep compliant with. So it is pretty much a natural question you're all probably thinking about right now is, does governance really apply to a small business? Or maybe how big have I got to get to really benefit from a governance structure? Now, we strongly believe that most businesses, even the smallest ones or sole traders, will benefit from good governance, particularly if you want to expand and grow or take advantage of opportunities out there. And also, if there are certain threats or issues you're having to deal with, good governance will actually make a significant difference. So now we know what the advantages are and why we need one. How do we make this simple? How do we implement a simple governance framework? So what we need is a simple schedule of regular governance projects or actions so that we progress from acting in an ad hoc, laid-back sort of manner or dealing with things at a time to working under a framework that promotes accountability. Now, without a framework or system, it's likely that nothing's going to change. You'll just continue to spend your time wearing your operational hats without devoting time to the governance and that more strategic above the line strategies. Get in front of the issues rather than dealing with the day-to-day. So how do we make this simplified for small businesses? Now, the best way to keep governance simple in a business is to create a governance work schedule. This will identify the projects and actions that must be done each year so that opportunities are realized and risks managed or mitigated. And the best time in the year for completing those specific projects and actions. So we schedule it all out annually. So let's look at an actual governance, annual governance work schedule. Now this one is on a calendar basis, so from January to December. You can simply change that if you want to a financial basis, so it would be July to June each year, or you may have some other requirement because you've got offshore entities that report differently as well. So you just align it to what works best for your business. Now on the left-hand side of things, we have the projects or actions that the board will actually need to implement to live into the principles of good governance. Not all items will be necessary in every single business, so you do need to customize your governance work schedule according to your needs, and over time you may expand this as you become a little bit more sophisticated and knowledgeable about running governance work schedules. But the first place to start is with the business strategy, or a one-page business plan which should be updated quarterly. The business plan takes a 12-month view of the business and sets the strategies for the coming year, along with the 12 months goals. It then cascades these down to 90-day action goals or action items, hence the need to update this every 90 days, because we have these split action items that take a 12-month goal down into 90-day components. Now, if your business is more complex or you're really looking for some high growth, a strategic plan that say takes a 5-year view, or the business may be more appropriate. So maybe you're looking to, list, or maybe you want to exit the business. You might take or you want to take it offshore. You might want to have a plan that's scheduled out over 5 years with a sub-annual year plan, and then broken down again into the 90-day action items. But for most small businesses, 12-month business plan is more than adequate. We then move on to the roles and responsibilities. So the organisational review in this particular case is done in March. Then we do the job descriptions in April. So we review the roles and responsibilities, and then we do the job descriptions a month later. We then do budgeting and forecasting. In this case, budgeting is done in February, the draft budgeting and forecast, and then we finalise it in the following month of March. Now, for my clients, we tend to do this around the May-June period, because we also tie that into end-of-year tax planning strategies. So we would look at the 9 or 10-month figures, project for 2 months, see where we may be sitting on the profit and loss and tax, look at some tax planning, then start preparing the next financial year's budgets and forecasts, and then finalising that in June. We then would move on to the performance reports. So we would have, in this case, monthly CEO reports, and then the monthly management reports. Those management reports would be forming part of how we're tracking against, say, the budget for the year. And what are the differences or discrepancies between actuals and the budget, and then how do we make changes to get us back on track with our budget. Then we start looking at the risk register, and we update this every 3 months. An annual insurance review, an annual review of key contracts. Key contracts could include key customers or suppliers. So you might find that one of your customers is 60% of the revenue. Well, that is a key customer, and you want to have a good review of your engagement and contracts with them, renewals, your effective pricing structure, and the same with suppliers. If you've got 1 or 2 key suppliers, whether you're being overcharged, maybe the credit terms aren't as good as they should be, and at least getting some quotes from other suppliers. So we do that once a year. We would then move on to the compliance section of things. And in this particular case, we have bank covenants, because there's some bank funding, and the bank has put in some place covenants on things like, say, liquidity ratios or cash flow. And we need to make sure that we're going to remain compliant with those. And then we finally look at, in January of each year, a review of the board to see how they've actually been performing. Now, an important point to be stressed here is that the directors are not necessarily completing all the projects and actions. So, some of the management reports, the CEO reports, the risk register, some of these things might not be done by the directors. However, and that responsibility in doing aren't necessarily the same here. However, there are 2 overall responsibilities in this work schedule that directors simply cannot delegate, and that's the strategy and the risk. Now, it's best practice for businesses to complete the projects and actions in this work schedule, and for our most successful clients, make sure this business is directed and managed in this way. However, we can understand that that in your business, these things aren't currently not happening. So that's fine. Why don't we just start small? Now, the best place to start is to have a simple 1-page business plan each year, to then put in place the forecasts, and then to make sure you have regular management reports to track how you're going on a month-to-month against that actual forecast. And then you can make adjustments throughout the year. Now, governance is a journey. It's not an actual destination. Now, we learn on the job and we grow our capabilities as we go. So that's the first form of rhythm. The next form of rhythm is your governance meeting rhythms. So for smaller, less complex businesses, a quarterly meeting cycle may be more than adequate. For complex businesses or those in high growth mode, or we're experiencing unusual trading conditions, or there are significant opportunities or risks that need to be addressed, monthly may be actually more advisable. And in some business cases, some boards are currently meeting even more regularly than monthly, and they're meeting twice a month. Now, you need to agree the meeting dates 6 months in advance and make sure they're locked in everyone's calendar. You have an expected meeting rhythm. So what you would do is you would say the second Tuesday of every month is our board meeting, right? Or the first Tuesday, the second Tuesday at the end of a quarter. And then everyone is aware when the meeting should take place. Now, in a small business, the meeting should take no more than 3 to 4 hours at absolute most. The key to this is ensuring that any reports that are needed, such as the management reports or the CEO reports, that they're actually circulated to all the meeting people a few days before the actual meeting. That gives them time to read these reports and be prepared for the meeting. Now, this stops the meeting from simply becoming a fact-finding meeting or a discovery meeting, and then that will force time to run over on the meeting agenda, because you spend a whole lot of time just finding out what's going on before you get into the real bit of it, which is the strategies that you want to implement and take the business and re-guide it. So now we have the frequency rhythm. Right, we've got the work schedule, the frequency rhythm, and the next component is a sample board meeting agenda, and the agenda is the same for each meeting, so it makes it easy for board to get into that rhythm. What's run in each meeting, and what's going to come up, what they should be prepared for. So the first thing we do is take care of the administrative components. So we'd review the minutes from the last meeting, and specifically also the action items listed from the last meeting. The chair would present that, and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes all up. We then look at the reports. So we have a look at the management reports, the CEO report presented by the CEO. The finance manager will then present the performance against KPI reports, the financials versus budget and actuals forecasts, such as the statement of financial position, statement of financial performance and cash flow, just known as the profit and loss balance sheet and cash flow. Okay. You would then review the risk register. The finance manager would do that, and again, that's 5 minutes on that. We then look at strategy and decision making. So you might have some decision papers, and that would be presented by the relevant person. So we might be looking at taking on a new venture, or opening up a new store, or moving into a new geographic region or state. And then, so the most appropriate person might do that. It may be the finance manager, it may be the sales manager, or it might be the both of them combined to put a report to the board on that. We would then look at the strategic or the business plan update. The chair presents that. The organizational update, the CEO would present that. Information papers provided to the board to note. So there might be some changes in workplace relations as an example, and that might be presented by your HR team, or you might have an external HR lawyer. And then any general business, again, by the most relevant person to present. We then go into the actions, governance actions calendar. So we review and discuss upcoming actions, part of those 90-day plans, and recommit to outstanding actions. So the ones that haven't been completed from the prior meeting. We would then review the whole meeting and in the closing of it, and then confirm the next meeting date, time, and location. Remembering, of course, that that would already be preset in the calendar, but it's confirming the next meeting. So we need to develop our governance skills, and there are 7 key governance skills that need to develop. Now, these 7 skills and attributes are not natural in business owners. They're often nurtured. So just think when you went into business, it was probably because you had a passion for your product or service. So it was quite natural that your skill sets were around that technical aspect of the business, how to make or deliver your product or service, and how to sell them. These are learned skills in a business, and in business, you learn them on the job or through education, such as this webinar, and with the support of your advisors, us, for example, and through experience. So let's cover off some of these skills and how we can develop them further. Understanding your financials. Well, this isn't a quick learning process for many directors. It starts with understanding and then learning how to interpret your financial reports. This includes your annual financials, profit and loss balance sheets, your monthly management reports, and your cash flow forecasts. One of the ones that we know most people tend to struggle is understanding there is a difference between profit and cash flow. Now, we can help you with this development. Understanding yourself and others. So growing your awareness in this area helps with understanding key people's strengths as well as their motivators and stresses. Now, this is vital for good governance. Focused planning. Developing the skills of focused planning enables you to spend time on what really matters to the long-term success of the business, strategies, visions, rather than being distracted by the many urgent, unimportant activities that are insignificant or should just be delegated. Directing. The fundamental purpose of a business is to create value for others. A great director does this by directing others in the business professionally and with humility. Managing to ensure performance outcome. So a person with this skill manages people by giving them the outcomes to achieve, not the tasks to do. Now that means being comfortable in taking the risk of letting others come up with solutions. This helps you people to actively take responsibility. So remember, your job is to assign the outcomes. Leaders want to inspire the team with the purpose of the business. They connect everything to the purpose because they know that without a clear purpose and vision, people go their own way. And finally, teaching. People who are prepared to teach are excited by the process of adult learning and the potential they see in people. Our aim, all right, for your next steps is to help you take what you've learned today and implement some positive change in your business. So what are your next steps from here? Now, if you do nothing else, please keep on an eye out for our part 2 of this governance series, which is boards that deliver. And of course, remember, if you need help, we are here to help you whenever you need it. So how can we help you to move things forward? Well, contact us and we'll send you a free governance annual governance work schedule. Then at least you can go off and start planning out your own schedule and getting that going. Of course, we can help you with governance planning. We can help you set up the governance board, the strategies, the schedules, the agendas. We can help run those and chair them for you. We're licensed to chair. And we may even then look at whether we start with an advisory board and then move into a more strong formalized governance role. So advisory boards are a good starting point and moving into the governance boards later. And of course, we can arrange a complimentary meeting to discuss your business, where it's at and where you want to go and how we're going to get there and what opportunities are with the governance boards. Parting thought. Now, the board's role is to pull management out of the trees to see the forest. So before you go today, please make a simple plan, commit to 3 action items that you'll take a result of today's session, write them down, give each of them an owner and a completion date. Remember, if you need support, we are here, so simply contact us. And thank you very much for attending today's session. We hope you got a lot out of it, and we look forward to presenting part 2.